The lone cowboy, can you take that same question? Not so much the communities, but what can operators, regional managers, investors do to support the communities better in
First, I
2024?
think that they need to invest in continuous sales training and development. There's always, new things popping up. It's like videos or advertising. I mean, but continuous training. Because salespeople need that. They thirst for it. They want the training. So I think quarterly trainings. One thing, Amy, that I think is important. I think it's important to be transparent with your salespeople on the financials. It shouldn't just be about move-in numbers. It's like give them a bigger picture so they understand this is why we can't give an incentive or discount because this is the bigger picture. I believe when you share that information with salespeople and give them the bigger picture, they get it versus just this is how many move-ins you need for the month. So I think it's important that the salespeople become better business people as far as like
That's a great point.
financials. So that would be my two.
That's a really good point. And I was thinking about
Amy?
just kind of between
Sorry.
just between your answer and Lula's answer, the idea of demonstrating the skills as a manager that you want to see from your team. And I know our coach, Lone Cowboy here, often does that. Especially in maybe a first session of a multi-session coaching program, that it's been a lot of times, doing discovery and finding out about the people that you're going to coach and picking up those little cues about how they're best going to take in that information and hold on to it and act on it and all of that. And so, yeah, I think that's so important. And I agree with you, Lula, that demonstrating that is so important. They have, and I figured that out finally as a regional. I couldn't just walk in and say, well, here's what we have to do today. I had to say hello. I had to, make a connection, make more of an effort to get to know them as people. And, I was just so task oriented, and I found out pretty early that just does not work with your teams. So thank you both.
I think Mystery Girl wanted to add a little something to that.
Sorry.
And I'd like to also add just a smidge after you do.
Thank you. I think it's helpful, very helpful, if at least for folks that are at maybe the sales counselor level, that they be removed from anything that's not sales related, especially if you expect people and you want them to make this really personalized, customized experience. That takes time. So take them out of all these conference calls, reports that can be done by the director. So the sales counselor is solely, if it's not going to lead to a sale, leave them out of it.
Yeah, that parlays a little bit into what I was thinking too, with all of this that we've covered on this topic. It just, we're speaking to that really like a partnership, not a top-down, one directional task orientedness. Like if you're telling a salesperson, hey, we're really appreciating that you fit in 10 tours this week, and let me buy you dinner, or here's our financial picture right now. This is why these are our goals for the month, and really treat it more like a partnership and getting everybody to kind of work together. One salesperson cannot fill a building. It has to be a team effort. And so I think these types of things help promote that sort of unity, and then the whole team orientedness of building occupancy.
Awesome. Let's go to, so we've all shared quite a bit, and so maybe you can just expand any ideas that you've already shared as it relates to this question. But Lone Cowboy, what would you say are the top 3 things a community can do to create customer experience that outshines most competitors?
The first one, which I see a lot that we miss, is setting the expectation for the tour. So that the prospect knows, how long the tour is gonna be, who they're gonna meet, what's important during the tour. And then sticking to that. A lot of times, when I've mystery shopped, I've let the salesperson know, I have like an hour and a half, and then the tour goes on for 2 hours. So, being conscious of, a timekeeper, that's important. That's important to the prospect. One, the experience, introducing the prospect to the executive director,
Oh gosh.
to the dining service director, to the key employees, setting the stage, make sure they're setting that stage before the prospect comes, because again, it's not about the building, it's about the experience. And then the last one that I loved, and this has happened to me a couple times, I absolutely love when the salesperson greets me at the door. They are standing at the door as I'm coming in. It's like, so made me feel important. I felt important. They greeted me at the door. They had one salesperson had a drink for me that she discovered I love Dr. Pepper. She had a Dr. Pepper in her hand waiting for me. So I think that makes you stand above the rest. Those are just a few things, but I know other ones have some things too. So
That's great. Thank you. Those definitely, based on the reports that I've read, would help the community stand out, no doubt. Let's see, Miss Mardi Gras, would you answer the same questions? What are your top 3?
Well, we've talked a lot about, doing good discovery, but to me, that is the absolute starting point for the process. And so many folks, when you make an inquiry call, they're not even starting really with the discovery process, or they might ask one question or two, but they really haven't started forming a connection or a personal rapport in any fashion to be able to prepare for the next step, which is a personalized visit. So for me, it's really getting to the core with that discovery of what are the pain points? Why did that person really call, and why did they call right now? Because we know by the time somebody's already reached out, they're trying to solve something, and they're probably pretty close to making some decision. They've already done a lot of homework. So in my opinion, just really trying to uncover the core of why that person is in front of you, and not with a contrived set of discovery questions. There are a lot of good ones, but you really have to listen specifically to what's on the other end of that and uncover what that person is looking for. So number one, just dig deep. And then beyond that, when you've done that, you can get to the math problem. That's what I call it, is solving the personal connections math problem. So you mentioned to me that, Pete loves to play cards and he hasn't been able to find anybody to do that. So that's A. Well, plus B equals an introduction and a personal connection. Well, Pete, let me introduce you to John because he heads up our card club, and wouldn't it be great if you could know that you could play 3 times a week with, these great guys? And then you got the C, the great news is, Pete, we can do A, we can do B, we can do C, and we can do it in this great community that you might call home. How would you like to come and play cards with us on Tuesday at 3? So if you've done the discovery, you can do the personal connection math. And then my third one is roll out the red carpet. So to Lone Cowboy's point, greeting somebody at the door, making them feel like you're expecting them, like you would a guest that you prepared for a dinner party. It's rare in my shopping experience over the last couple of years that somebody has really learned enough about me to truly hit it out of the park with a personal greeting. If I was greeted with a Dr. Pepper and I love Dr. Pepper, boy, indeed, would that make a difference to
Mhm.
me. And it leads to the opportunity not only to create a custom experience in the community, but create a follow-up and all the things we know that can establish trust and make a community stand out as the one that you want to call home.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Second to last question. What do you wish could be completely resolved in 2024? And let's ask that of Mystery Girl.
So I wasn't sure what you meant by resolved. Um, I guess I can tell you a couple of my pet peeves that I would love to see disappear
That's
in the
fine.
world of senior living.
Uh-huh.
And the one of my biggest is feature dumping. So every time I make the initial inquiry call, very rarely do the people let me, I call it throwing up on them, giving them everything they need. They just start the list. Then we've got this, we've got that, and I just go snooze. Um, because I don't care about this or that, but I do care about, X. So feature dumping versus discovery. Salespeople need to just talk less, listen. You'll get
Mhm.
everything you need. They'll give you everything, all the gems.
Mhm.
Another thing I'd like to see, I guess, resolved would be for people to stop showing apartments that look bad, that they're
Mhm.
storing things in, or, they're in the middle of taking wallpaper down, or the toilet sitting in the living room. Um, there's such a difference between seeing that and seeing a model. I mean, it's just amazingly, the comparison is unbelievable. Um, so I would say that's, two of the things I hope that, we can help people with learning more where they might be lacking in. I mean, I'm huge on discovery. Like I said, you can get everything you need from a prospect by just asking some open-ended questions and just let them go.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, be
And
quiet. You're right.
yeah, be quiet, listen,
Mhm.
and then,
Mhm.
tailoring it. I love welcome signs that are personalized. I get that some on mystery shops, but not a lot. Um, I'd love to see, and this was something a company I worked with in the past had done, where they had marketing guest or visitor parking signs. They were wipey, like you could use a wipey marker. And so before an expected visit, you'd go out there and you'd write their name. So boom, right from the beginning, you've got a sign with your name on it. You're like, wow. You go in the door, hey, there's a chalkboard sign, welcome, Mr. Girl. We're so glad you're here.
Mhm.
Sitting down in the discovery room and there's that bowl of nuts that you mentioned you liked. Um,
Mhm.
Pre-planned encounters with residents. Um, I could go on and on. I just shopped a community this week in New York where, the entrance fee range from like 2 to 5 million, 8 to 10,000 a month on top of that. We didn't meet a single associate. We didn't meet a single resident. We passed by the ED, and afterwards the salesperson said, "Oh yeah, that's our ED so and so." Um, so there's just a lot of pieces missing that could make such a big difference
Mhm.
with our clients.
Yeah.
That's all. Again, I could go
That's
on and
just,
on.
there's just that, just that.
Just
Well,
those couple little things, tweaks.
great points, and it's a great list. And I think what is so it's not really surprising to me, but I think would be surprising maybe to a lot of people is that it's so easy. All of these things that everyone has mentioned, it's just a matter of tweaking your behavior, tweaking your thinking process a little bit. I mean, they're all, and we talk all the time about, giving our clients low-hanging fruit, and having the communities control what they can control. And those are all super easy, low-hanging fruit that's going to have a big impact on the result of their interaction with that prospect.
Meaningful introductions seem to be missing all the way around, at least in my experiences. Staff traditionally aren't being introduced, and that really does affect the trust factor if medications or assisted living is important and you've met someone that is in a medical capacity and oversight capacity, boy, would that make a difference in establishing trust for the operation. Other than the salesperson, also creating a
Right.
great experience. It's engaging the
Right.
rest of the team in that experience and making them feel that they are also a part of that process.
I can speak to that for a second. My brother-in-law used to be a maintenance person at a community that I worked at. And he and his partner had a wing. And so whenever I was going to move somebody in their wing, I would introduce them. Especially because in independent living, when someone's moving in, usually home maintenance is kind of one of those things that is kind of driving a move. So I would introduce them, say, you've got these issues at home. You're not going to have these issues here. Let me introduce you to Dave and John. They're going to take care of it. They were excited. They would come to me afterward and say, when are those nice people moving in? You know, it kind of just made everybody excited about a new resident instead of like, oh, more work for me. We have a new resident moving in. You know,
Right,
it just
right.
it created that enthusiasm across the board for them to be involved. So yeah, and involving the team is just really low hanging fruit, as you always say, Amy. And it makes everybody a partner in the process of filling the building.
Yep. Yeah, you see a much happier team, I think, when you're doing that creative visit planning and some of the best ideas come from the maintenance guys and
Yes.
in terms of how to make that connection with the prospect. So it's a really good point.